This episode of FilmRiot is brought to you by FreshBooks. They fresh to death. Welcome to FilmRiot Mondays. It's still happening. Okay. Which way is the better one? To upgrade equipment in small steps or wait and save money for some more pricey stuff? And don't say it depends. Well, it depends. This one actually doesn't depend. For me personally, I always bought my gear in increments. I would save up as much as I could and then just buy things as I went. I wouldn't save up for a huge chunk and then just buy everything at once. I would figure out what the next step of thing is that I want to buy, save up for that, buy that one. Watch, rinse, repeat. For me, if you have a decent camera, audio should be your first choice. That's what it is for me anyway, because bad audio, we've talked about a ton. You just can't get past that. That's just, it ruins everything. But something that doesn't look 100% quality-wise, you can get past it if the audio is good and the material is good. So for me, sound equipment is some of the most important stuff. So I would go there. And then again, if you still have a decent camera, I would move to lenses, camera, lighting, and so on. Drone industry, growing too much or perfect? I don't think it's growing too much. I mean, there's a lot of people that have been really irresponsible with it, which has done damage to the rest of us who are responsible with it and are just trying to use it for filmmaking and such. So that's been sort of a bummer. But overall, I think everything drone-wise has been fantastic. The technology is just getting better and better and making it easier to get some awesome footage. But just like with everything, the technology and making things easier to get doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to start producing quality just because the technology is there. I think some people get afraid that because it's more simplistic to get an aerial shot, that more people are going to be taking jobs away, but that's not the case. It's just like with the camera. No matter how good the camera is, it depends whose hands that camera is in. Just like a drone, anything else, everything comes down to talent, creativity, experience, all that. I don't know if that had anything to do with the question, but that's where we went. How do you find balance between a tight deadline and creating the perfect shot? The most important thing is making your day, getting all the puzzle pieces that you need so you can cut a coherent story together later. A perfect shot is great. And this is always what plagues me, is I want a very specific type shot and I want to nail it and I want to get it to look as good as I have in my head, which has almost never happened because you get there on the day and you know you can't spend too much time on this because then you start jipping everything else, which is where the actual quality is. The quality is in your content, your material, the performances, and how that plays out for the audience, giving the audience the experience. And you can't do that if you don't have all the puzzle pieces you need to tell the story the way you want to tell the story. If there's a shot that very specific shot is a part of that, then okay, fine, spend more time on it. But with where we're all at and budget and the deadlines that you have on the day to get in and get out, usually you have to make compromises with those perfect shots. Is the price for the DJI Osmo worth it? And is the footage good enough to combine it with the Sony a7S? For me personally, it is 100% worth the price. And we actually just shot something with DJI. There are 5 different scenes, 5 different action scenes. You probably heard me talk about it already. I think we're putting it up end of March or beginning of April. So you'll see that within one of the scenes, we're actually cutting in between the Osmo and the a7S. On the Osmo, we have the X5 camera, of course, so that's a bit better quality than the other camera that comes with it. And we shot with the Red Dragon as well. So we're cutting in between the a7S, the Osmo, and the X5, and the Red Dragon, and they actually blended really well. And I personally love the Osmo. What it allows you to do while at least shooting action is insane. For me, it totally changed the way I shot action and allowed me to shoot a fight scene in a way that I've always wanted to and was never able to, especially at the sort of budgets we're all operating in. So again, for me, 100% worth the price, but you have to look at your needs and the way you like to shoot. Do you think VR will overthrow traditional 2D filmmaking? Not at all, not even a little bit. For me personally, VR is such a different sort of thing. It's like saying TV is killing theatrical releases. It just doesn't. It's a different thing entirely, even more so than television. I think the way that we experience films in the theater right now will remain. VR might become something that you go to. I think there's a lot of really interesting applications that it could become, but that experience of, watching cinema in the theater has nothing to do with VR. I think the way we see movies in the theater will eventually change. They'll come out with some kind of technology that will change the way we see films, maybe some kind of multi-layer situation where it's 3D without the glasses, so you're getting that parallax and you're getting that depth, but you're not wearing glasses. I think something like that will ultimately change the way we experience films in the theater, but I do not think VR is it. Last question, what's your favorite Fincher film? That is really difficult. It's hard to categorize the films of a filmmaker you love so much, especially since he's so consistent. I think I'm gonna say 7. I think I'm gonna go with 7. I'm not super confident, but I'm gonna go with 7. But high up on my list, Fight Club, Gone Girl, those would probably be my top 3, those 3. Yeah, Zodiac is great too.
Oh, Zodiac.
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, so good. The Game. I think The Game's one of his most underrated films. That is a great freaking movie. If you haven't seen it, it's good. Spring is almost here, and if you're like me and not so good at the tax stuff, listen up. Our friends at FreshBooks have created ridiculously simple cloud accounting software that helps service-based small business owners get a handle on their paperwork. FreshBooks keeps all your cash flow details in one place so you know exactly what invoices you sent, who has paid you, and what your income is. Their mobile app lets you take pictures of your receipts and organizes them, which makes claiming expenses at tax time a breeze. You'll be so much more prepared and way less stressed, and right now FreshBooks is offering a free 30-day trial. Just go to freshbooks.com/FilmRiot and enter FilmRiot in the How Did You Hear About Us section.
Logo.
So that's it for today, which means it's time for my suggestion of the week. This one comes from Andy Baker, who has a blog called The Client Blog, and if you have not read anything from that, you need to check it out for sure. He's always posting amazing things, but one of his most recent posts is for a campaign he did for Brain Games, and it goes through the whole thing from pitch to completion. It even has a video of the animatics they did in pre-production to the final product with amazing info all throughout, so definitely check that out right here. And until next time, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.